Right, welcome back. So I want to do a career video today on Matt Zuccarello. Matt Zuccarello's in the news today with news that he is out indefinitely right now. Right arm surgery, and you know that's going to involve rehab and that kind of thing. So we'll see how things go for him. Matt Zuccarello's been a favorite of mine all the way through his career. Being a shorter man myself, I will always root for the smaller guys in the game because it shows that you can make it. It can be difficult at times, and injuries can be a result sometimes of being smaller. 5'8", 178 pounds. He slips through the draft, and he's Norwegian, born in Oslo, Norway, September 1st of 1987. So there are a lot of reasons to cheer for Matt Zuccarello. Being from a non-traditional, there's not a lot of Norwegians that have played in the National Hockey League. Espen Knutsen, though, right, for Columbus. I liked Knutsen. Apologies for that. If you're old enough to remember, Knutsen didn't play that long in the NHL, but again, hard not to root for him because he was from Norway. But so Zuccarello, 33 years of age currently, which is part of the discussion when you talk about Matt Zuccarello right now. But May 26th of 2010, he signs as an unrestricted free agent with the New York Rangers. Smart move by the Rangers. And 2010-2011, he ends up playing 42 games, 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 points. He plays one game in the playoffs. So he's in the NHL. He gets some games in the AHL as well. 2011-2012, he played mostly outside of the NHL, plays 10 games in the NHL, 2 goals and an assist, 3 points, missed 8 regular season games, and 20 playoff games with a broken wrist. So, that's one of those things where he's had these injuries that have kept him out for a while. And so I wanted to discuss that in this video as well. But in 2012-2013, which is a lockout shortened season, he ends up playing only 15 games with the Rangers. Makes a good impression. 3 goals, 5 assists for 8 points, and in the playoffs, 12 games played, 1 goal, 6 assists, 7 points. They realize he's an everyday NHLer. He gets that opportunity and he seizes it. 77 games played the year after that, 19 goals, 40 assists, 59 points. Kind of sort of out of nowhere. 13, 3, 8, and then all of a sudden 59. But if you're following along and you'd watch those playoffs in 2013, you could see he was going to be an everyday guy. And in the playoffs, 25 games played, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points. Decent production in the playoffs from Matt Zuccarello. And that, of course, is when hockey gets a little tougher. Points are harder to come by, and you've got to be physically tough to be able to make it work. 2014-2015, 78 games played, 15 goals, 34 assists, 49 points. And in the playoffs, 5 games, total of 2 assists. He missed 4 games as with a broken hand February 27th of 2014. And he missed 14 playoff games with an upper body injury as well. So, again, he plays 78 games during the regular season, but we see injuries going on here. 2015-2016, 81 games played, 26 goals, 35 assists, 61 points, which is a career high. And what's interesting with that is that's after he'd signed his extension. March 2nd, 2015, he signs a 4-year, $18 million extension for $4.5 million a year. So the fact that he signs an extension, which is generous, and he puts up the most points in his career the year after signing it, tells you what you need to know about Matt Zuccarello. 80 games played the following season, 15 goals, 44 assists, 59 points. In the playoffs, 12 games, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points. And again, solid, plays a bunch, and plays well. 2017-2018, 80 games played, 16 goals, 37 assists, 53 points. But Rangers are headed into a retool. Not a rebuild. Don't call it a rebuild. It's the wrong word. It's a retool. And Zuccarello's contract's up in 2019. So what are you going to do? Well, the Rangers, him and Ha, a little bit, at least that's how fans perceive it, and about who they're going to keep and who they're going to lose. But after 46 games in 2018-2019, 11 goals, 26 assists, 37 points, on February 24th of that year, he is traded to the Dallas Stars. And it's a smart trade for both teams. And I kind of wished at the time Zuccarello had stayed in Dallas. That was like a year ago, so I still remember a year ago. I'm not that old. So he's traded for 2 conditional picks. They end up being a 2nd-round draft pick in 2019 and a 3rd-round pick in 2020. But the conditions added are as this. If Dallas had beaten St. Louis in round 2 and gone on to the conference final, that 2nd-rounder becomes a 1st-rounder. So New York Rangers, huge fans of the Dallas Stars in the playoffs that year. 2020, That third-round pick would have become a first-round pick if Zuccarello had re-signed with Dallas. So again, Rangers fans would have been saying, you guys in Dallas, you should re-sign Zuccarello. That'd be great for you. You really, really should re-sign him. So in Dallas, he plays 2 regular season games. 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. And he breaks his arm. And it was awful because he looked great in those 2 games with Dallas. Then he does come back after missing those 17 games to play 13 games with Dallas in the playoffs. 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. And I thought he was a natural fit. And so with him being a natural fit, you're torn. You go, okay, so he's a natural fit in Dallas, but if they re-sign him, that 2020 third becomes a first. Don't know that we want it to become a first. And for Dallas, a team that, they got out of the first round, but they didn't get out of the second, you can understand hesitancy about signing the kind of deal that he got from Minnesota. July 1st, 2019, the Minnesota Wild, this team right here, they step up. They give him 5 years at $30 million, $6 million a year. And it comes with a no movement clause through 2022. Why would he have that? Because he doesn't want to get exposed to Seattle. In part, wouldn't want to get exposed to Seattle. So that means he doesn't have to worry about it. He's not going to go in the expansion draft. Now, the interesting thing with him this year with Minnesota is he plays 65 games, 15 goals, 22 assists, 37 points. His points per game, very low for Matt Zuccarello. In the return, plays 4 games against Vancouver, 1 assist, and he's invisible during some of that too, which is the more concerning part. That as the season went along, it didn't feel like it was a better fit. And for me with Matt Zuccarello, what's more concerning is, so he's still got 4 years left on this contract, $24 million. That's a $6 million price tag to the Minnesota Wild, which is high. For Zuccarello, if his production is going to continue to trend in the wrong direction. Remember, he is 33 years of age. The likelihood of him bouncing back to, say, a 60-point, 26-goal season, it's not great. Because once you get into your 30s, those bounce-back seasons become harder to get, and they're far less likely. He also this year seemed to have changed his game. Now, according to the stats I found, he hit 13 times. He had 13 hits this year. His career high was in 2014-2015, this year right here for the Rangers, where he had 117. And the year before that for the Rangers, he had 116. His game has changed. He's scoring less. He's not hitting. And you have to think coming back from this right arm surgery, he might be a little bit tentative on the ice to start. And that's completely understandable when a player is. I'm not talking about necessarily puck shy. There's times where players get a little bit scared being around the puck because they don't want to get hit. But his game could change further. And he's already hitting less than he ever has in his entire career. This contract means he's not exactly a tradable commodity for the Minnesota Wild either. So the news that he's out indefinitely after right arm surgery and that it's going to affect next season, if the season starts in the middle of January, he will not be ready to go. It is a hit to Minnesota, but more concerning if you're Matt Zuccarello. The more concerning part would be if your replacement, whether Kaprizov takes his spot in the lineup, whoever takes his spot in the lineup does really, really well, and then Minnesota has a tough task when he is healthy and good to go. Does Zuccarello end up playing a less prominent role with Minnesota going forward than was expected when they signed him? His ice time, still around the 15-minute-a-game mark. Does it drop further this year? Is there a way to get him to play that more physical, in-your-face style, a little bit of agitating that he'd been able to do for the Rangers at his peak? Or is this what Minnesota's going to have at this point? And it's an interesting conversation to have. I'd be interested to know what you guys think. I do still on some level wish he'd stayed in Dallas. I thought he would have been a fantastic fit in Dallas, but again, at that $6 million a year cap hit, and then giving up your first-round draft pick in 2020, I can understand why Dallas didn't do it. Totally understand why Dallas didn't do it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Zuccarello, eventually at some point, with his 576 games, 392 points in the regular season, his 77 playoff games so far and his 43 points in the playoffs. At some point, he ends up in the THG Hall of Fame. He's active, so you can't do that. But for a player who's undrafted, comes out of Norway, too small to be an NHLer would have been the argument from a lot of scouts. He's proven a lot of people wrong. Can he do it again? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.